Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode. Where we are kind of having both a founder as well as a very prolific investor also joining us in the form of Mr. Devang Mehta. Again, he doesn't need an introduction. Like Mr. Devang is an investor in multiple companies, especially in the tech space. And fortunately, he's also a strategic advisor with us at DawdleLive. So I welcome you, Devang. And Devang comes from a technology background. So I think, this podcast is going to be pretty interesting. On the other hand, I've got Raj joining us from Chennai. And as I always tell, is that I have got an intrinsic bias towards South Indian founders.
We talk a lot.
And what I've started feeling is that tier 2, tier 3 cities founders are very good. So Raj is making something innovative in the space of AI, and he will be the best person to take us through what is he doing. So, since the introduction is done, so what we can do is that, Raj, if you can very quickly say in 1 or 2 minutes, can kind of tell us what you're building so that it gives a good context to our audience.
Yeah. So to put it in a very simple way, I'm building a non-statistical AI, symbolic AI, if you want to call it. So statistical AI, you all know all the Gen AI and all the things is statistical, and some of the people are trying to build it. So what is the difference is that our AI doesn't convert the text or the images into numbers. It just keeps the text and everything into as a symbols, so that it can keep the context, keep the meaning, and so on, so that the bias and all that comes into it. But the second thing is that why I have started this, what is the problem and that. So the first thing is that enterprise search, and still the enterprise search is not an unsolved problem, not a solved problem. And then the other one is that how if I want to find a particular thing by concepts, or if I want to find links or anything, I cannot find it. I read a lot and I keep the papers, and also if I want to find, okay, here are the 10 papers and show me what are the concepts linked in there, or is it one thing found in the one paper is also a little bit changed, but the same meaning and it is there or not, we cannot find that. So my A came from that frustration of my own work and my own thing I was trying to do. And now we are using that in a lot of other places. And I found it in a last month, and before that, I was frustrated with the lead generation and outreach, and I have to think about it and find that okay, I can apply my own AI into this and find the companies which are relevant. And the technical jargon for that is a lookalike companies. So I can create a automatic list of lookalike companies and send it to the reach out to them rather than trying to go to search in the what is the company size, what is the company keyword, and so on. So that is what I'm building, trying to solve what the other AI cannot solve. And we are not competing with the other AI. Something like we are not saying that okay, our AI can do everything. No, our AI cannot do anything. We have our limitations, but those limitations have I say untapped, underserved, or unserved market. So that is the basis of it.
I think Devang will have very quick, set of questions to you.
Yeah, happy to always chat and discuss. Yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic. So again, thank you, Rishikesh, for having me on this wonderful podcast. Very interesting concept. Good to meet you, Rajasankar. Congratulations on your startup. So my first question, and you've partly covered this, but what is the original spark beyond natural text? Now you built a non-statistical model in AI when most people seem to be optimizing around statistics and the LLM.
Yeah, so I was, read a lot. I read a lot, and I was trying to find out. I read this particular thing in a paper or this thing, and how do I know that? Or if I take a book, I was also reading that some of the linguistics things. I am well versed in Sanskrit and Tamil, and I also say that. Sanskrit and Tamil has more, more links, more similarities than with the other things that also with Canada. Also, the other languages I found, say from Bengali to from Gujarati, say for the Pandal. Pandal is a Tamil word too. Or in by Bengali, you say Narkela. Narkela is a Narkolam in Tamil. It is there and Nal in Kerala. So I was trying to find what is the similarity I can go on. And I don't know those similarities. I'm not well versed in Bengali or Gujarati or anything. So if I have this text, even if it is translated into English, how do I find these similarity? How do I find, even if the two words are completely different, where I can find the similarities, where I can take this out, or if I find contradictions. So that is the spark where I have to work on it. I also, read this something called a distribution hypothesis, which is not a pro, which says that the word gets a meaning by nearby other words. which is still not proven because they can, there is a whole lot of things, there's root words and all. So in this background, I was seeing that, okay, current AI cannot do that, but current AI is a synthesis in something like it. To put it mildly, that it rearranges the words that will look like the grammar. It understands, it doesn't understand the grammar, but it understands the patterns, and if it is conforms to the pattern, it spits it out. So that is not solving the problem. So I have to read it and I have to have it. And there are several versions. Some of the things I couldn't do that initially. Initially, people said it nice, it failed. And we are the first cohort in the NASCAR Big Tech Lab. And some of the mentors were even frustrated. They see the potential, but frustrated. So I have to go back to the drawing board and then bring it. And then I have to move it from Python to Rust. So there is a long journey. But the spark is that I was trying to understand why these unsolved questions were there in linguistics, unsolved questions were there in other areas too. So that is this. It may not be a one spark, but several sparks along the way.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's very interesting way to approach the thesis of a startup.
Yeah.
Now, you claim to be data and language agnostic and bias free, and you also say that you're not that reliant on computing power. So, in simple terms, can you explain, maybe layman's term, how your algorithm, your technology is different from traditional AIs and LLMs?
So why it is not depend upon the language and all? So the basic idea they do to the IRA is that they take the data and convert it to kind of a number. So the computers process the numbers. So they have what you call as a vectorization. There are various ways to do the vectorization or the tokenization. But in generally, the data, it is in text or images, has to be converted into the numbers. So that number, if you convert from, say, English or to French, that may not be the same, that may not be the difference. So they have to put a rail guards, they have to do other things to bring it up. For others, is that we don't convert into numbers, and those things are kept as it is, as a symbols, and it is put into the graph algorithms or a graph database. So think about it that you have a graph nodes across it, each one linking, and we find the easiest way to walk into that.
Okay.
That will give you the, so something like if I put in there, so if you think that something clicks in here. So that is the easiest way to understand how our AI does it without a bias free. And the other part is that all the things you can actually inspect, all the things you can actually see, you can control it. So something like that, it doesn't reward like a popularity. So something like in a reinforcement learning, one of the major problems is that if the fake news comes in 10 times rather than the fact comes 1 times, the fake news gets rewarded. That is why you've got all the things get into that. I mean, reinforcement a great thing, but it doesn't work in the worldly things because it cannot check the facts. It doesn't reward the something. It keeps going. It also mimics our brain. Something like if you're addicted, if somebody is addicted, the brain is rewired so that they keep doing the thing over and over again. Our AI doesn't do that. So we use graph algorithms. I have my own database, own algorithm, all the things I wrote in my language Rust, and that is why it's bias free. You can do any language, any size, and so on.
Okay, that's interesting. So, further to that concept, you describe yourself as AI for the unknowns of unknowns.
Yeah.
Right? And you help organizations discover, or shall we say, unravel these unknowns of unknowns. So, how do you do that?
Yeah, something like unknown in sense that think about the statistical distribution, but for a text. So how do you, let's say you take a market research survey or something, you take it from a sentiment analysis, you take all the text or a Facebook post or a replies or even emails. So how do you find that what is the, which one is anomaly or which one is doesn't conform or something is unique out there? How do you take that out or something that people are talking about 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, maybe in a different ways, or they say it in a different meanings, but they are all saying the same. That is what businesses want. So if I am running as a market survey, I am running a sentiment analysis, I wanted to know, or even I am doing a KYC, I wanted to know which kind of a patterns which are keep emerging in KYC. So who are all submitting this fake data or ID cards on which way. So that is the basis, trying to solve the business problem. So how it is solved that is that it is the basic thing is that clustering or grouping, right? And the grouping is based on the similarity or a lookalike, and the lookalike is based on context. So again, that the context takes the place, or a semantic meaning takes the place, And then once it is done, then once the grouping is done, then the rest of it can be shown. The grouping itself can be compressed into, say, a few sentences or a few things, so that out of 100 or 200, you have to just look at it one or two, and then everything will be the similar. So this way that it ensures that you will know unknown unknowns. You don't have to look at the data. The people don't have to label it. You don't have to work or fine tune the data into whatever you want. All you have to do is that throw in the data, and it will deliver the cluster. That is a basic functionality, and every other functionality grows from there. Like the next word prediction for us, it is a clustering or a grouping, and every other functionality grows from there.
Fantastic. It's interesting. So now moving on to explainability and compromise. A lot of systems today, they trade off one for the other. Typically, explainability for performance, right? And
Yeah.
that typically is a problem for highly regulated industries like healthcare and, let's say, aspects of finance. How do you overcome this challenge?
So something like explainability, why, we have to ask the question again, why the standard AI cannot explain? Because the standard AI don't have a tracing. You cannot go and say, okay, I feed this data, and this data is changed or transformed into this way, and the results will come at it that way, so that I can actually read how the AI does. In simple terms, if with our AI algorithm, if you know the algorithm, you can actually do that math in written hand, so that if you take, say, 3 or 4 sentences or 3 or 4 data points, and you can actually deduce that from the first principles. If you have our data, right? My algorithm is trade secret. We are not even going for the patents, but that's the basic point. That cannot be said to any AI, right? Even if it is, it is 100 documents or a small data set, you cannot work that out by hand. So from that first principle is the explainability comes, because which means that our A is built from the scratch to explain the things, what it actually does, which means that you can trace back, you can put a unique identifier to each data point and see where it is ends up, something like you can even control the entropy of the information entropy out there where you want it to do. And then functionality, the performance is that we can do something like distribution. Right? So you can put the different instances, and you can even have the results in a database, traditional database, either in SQL or in NoSQL, and then take it from there. So the concepts and all, I wanted to do that. Okay, if I am doing this myself, what will I want? If I'm doing this myself, what would be the ultimate outcome? Do I have to create this chimera or a monster or a black box? I have to say that, okay, feed this thing and something else will come up. There are instances in where you saw Amazon, where it is doing that. They did that. It is a self-checkout AI. But somewhere in our country, there were about 1,000 people are doing it. Then again, it is also which means that there is no control, or nobody knows that, and nobody in fintech or nobody in healthcare going to trust that way. Now, we saw that right now is that medical AI doesn't live up to the experts. The reason is that there is no traceability. And we have the traces exactly where it is, and you will know exactly from where the data comes in. And then they can also control it, something like the companies do the research in public and private data. So then they take a PubMed papers, and they have their own notes, and they wanted to understand whether their notes, whether their research, whatever they had, would be any useful, or is it they are keep repeating whatever the experiments and so on. So in order to answer the question, the traceability and build from the scratch, and the you can human read and output is the key to the explainability and key to the performance, which means that if you see that, okay, these particular things are coming, you can put up an instance and then let it perform. You can do it in a different way too. So that is where all these things comes from.
The final piece of this puzzle, at least for me, is that you mentioned that natural text doesn't compete with Gen AI or typical ML models, right? So in practice, how do you compete with the likes of OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google?
Yeah, OpenAI and Anthropic and Google, their entire thing is they're not selling AI, they're selling data. And then they are not solving any kind of AI things, they're solving search problem. So if you look at Google today, the Google search is fully degraded. Try to yourself and get frustrated. And then the initial in 2002 and 2003, if you saw that their thing is that if they shave every percentage of their Google revenue into the China or the Google market share, then worth $5 billion. So that's what they want to shave it and do it this. Pretty much the thing is that as you see that the white coding and all kind of a side effect, or that just they discovered that they can do that. Again, the question is that how they are pitching into it, or how they are, putting this into it. Is that going to answer any of your questions fully, or is it bringing up the search results? What exactly is that? There is no more, right? If you do the sweep seek, and even there are, we have seen this, highs in there from the word. But if you go back to 10 years, 2000, 13 and 14, there is something called a word break. The Google promised that they can solve the problem of finding meanings between the word and so on. It hasn't came up because what they are trying to solve is that at scale, take the data from everywhere and then provide it. But if you look at the other, say for example, market research companies, I have worked, they tried the GenAI and all, and the GenAI cannot even find whether this data is true or a fake. It cannot find. There are limitations upon limitations it is built on. And again, Anthropic, if you saw today, just the last week, they declared that they are going to solve the enterprise search problem. So the entire thing is out open. There is a lot of market. There is a lot of untapped and unsolved market is out there, and which, the NTAI is going to take it up, and we are going in there. But there is a, credibility that, I'm not from any, ex Meta or ex Google. I don't have a PhD. I haven't attended Harvard. These limitations I understand. I'm trying to go there slowly, but steadily, one by one, explaining it and solving it. So that is the basis of, and again, money. We haven't raised. We are organically growing up. Money will help, but that doesn't solve a fundamental problem in, say, how do you approach it, how do you approach the market and now. So that is the point when I say confidently say that yes, there is a whole of a market is there, and there are a whole of the things which NTAI can go and solve the problem. We are not operating, trying to be the chatbots. And I made the decision consciously almost 4 5 years ago when, the racist chatbot from Microsoft and all was the ultimate consumer apps, or they're trying to solve the consumer side of it. And I said that no, 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 I'm not going to the chatbots. That's there. It may be a viable option too, but there is another set of market which is open. There is not a much competitor. We can simply go on there, take it. So that is the basis idea.
Fantastic.
Got it. This is very interesting, actually, Raja. Very nicely explained. I will kind of, try to touch upon some of the market things like where is the product. So if you talk about your early deployments, especially in production, which are the industries or use cases are you seeing the strongest traction for natural text? And what kind of ROI or transformation are your clients seeing?
So the stronger case is that where I'm going in first is that the people can see the results immediately. It will not take a 3 months or a 6 months or a year. So healthcare, pharma, and all, there is a strong use case, but that is a very hard market. The breaking into is literally impossible even for startups like
Can you
me.
tell a few use cases, Raja?
Yeah. So the first use case will be like in market research. We are trying to find out fake replies, or
Hmm.
who's actually replying it. There are market research cases where the product is intended for men, but women replied it, or it is for women, men replied it, and so on. And the second is that in market research, there is no tool that can analyze the close-ends. So close-ends is that if you take a survey, you pick anyone and the selected choice, not type the actual result. So that is not analyzed. We are going and analyzing it right now. We are in a partnership with a company in US, which is we are trying to analyze the both the sides. Pros and cons. The one is that it's only the product we have. And the other one is that in fintech and all, say for example, comparing names. So in a KYC, they will supply Aadhaar, ID card and all, and they wanted to compare the names. And that itself costly for them. We have a customer in Chennai, that is Muthoot Corporation's one subsidiary, and they are literally paying several lakh rupees every month to solve the problem. And I sold our own things for a equal amount to 1 month. So that is those things are the very small unknown problems. Maybe nobody is taking care of it, but it is leaks the company's money. And right now, after that, they can run thousands of queries every single day. They host it themselves. We have agreement that they will not be selling it or using it anywhere. And then the second, and the other one is that, for example, in sentiment analysis, we solve the problem of answering the why customers are unhappy. So if you see all the tools and all, it will give you that, okay, good, bad, ugly. What's the use of it? The customers, the business owners wanted to know how many things the customer are complaining. Is it a spam? Is it a not safe for work? Is it something like they can understand why the customers are happy? In a particular say, look, the reply could be a long, the feedback could be long. One thing they say good, one thing doesn't work, and one other thing working normally. So how do they want to chop it and understand? The other one is the lead generation, as we know. Right now, I'm in the things to mix it up with creating a lookalike company. So you take a database and create an automatic list of lookalike companies which are similar based on their website information, social media information, and whatever the technology they use. And just you take one thing, and then you will be confident that all the companies in that list are relevant. You can reach out to them. In the industry itself, it does all the domains, warm up, sending 10,000, 20,000 emails per day just to spam everyone's inbox because they cannot find the relevant companies. And I have worked with the one of the agencies, and they challenged me to use a bit scale data. That's a competitor they were using. And I was asking the questions, and they tried to speak the agentic AI and all. It doesn't work. So these are all, use cases where again in logistics, in the other areas, where you have to find out which things going up, where the customers are buying, the patterns of anomalies. So the fundamental thing is that wherever the customers trying to find the patterns of anomalies, but the data, once they find it, that's it. The data is useless. They have to throw it out. They have to wait for the next data, and then they have to do it in the next method, or they're completely different data. So where we go there, the definition will be the data will be fast changing. Data might come in a various formats, and they wanted to do that analysis only one time on the data. So that is the difference from the Gen AI and now, like you want to tag your photo repetitively, you want to answer the questions repetitively. That doesn't solve their problem, right? So these are all the industries we go in there and talk to them, and then fundamentally that they do the things that they cannot do previously, or they even wanted to do it, but they go along. That is the industry standard, and they go along. That those are all the use cases we go there and solve to that. But in other use cases, a lot of things are there in clinical trials, in finding the PubMed papers and so on. As I mentioned in academia, right now I'm talking to a academic. He's an emeritus professor, and we are talking to how to solve the fake papers are submitted to the archivex. The archivex is a free upload preprint server, and I'm talking to that. Okay, you give me these things, and you can see how much is related. Where they are actually typing. No, they actually type instructions, prompts to the Gen AI inside the paper itself, so that their reviews will be good if they put it to the data. So how do you solve that without going to the Gen AI? So because it's already there, right? The prompts are there. If you throw that paper to the AI, and it will be that then you have to go to the 10, 20 or 30 pages, and how many papers you can do. So we are solving those not so solvable by the Gen AI. So that is the basic definition.
Got it. And you're already in the production stage, and you're expecting some strong growth as we were talking. What are your biggest strategic priorities in the next 12 to 18 months, and how are you thinking of scaling this without diluting your technology integrity?
Yeah, so technology, we actually sell the platform or the engine so that it will be installed behind the firewall to the customers. So I was, experimenting with, encryption of the data. So data will be encrypted in the client side, sent it to us, and that encrypted data will be analyzed. The analysis will be sent back and will be decrypted. The full analysis will be decrypted at the client side. That is what I'm, trying it. There are several obstacles in that, several things to be ironed out. but that's the first one, so that I don't have to ask them to install something or have the team and all. So one, that's the first one. The second one is that I'm also thinking that how this will be taken in a different manner. Something like the companies need a one thing, they don't need a whole of the suits, because our is a kind of several algorithms combined. So how will you solve the, or it should be offered along with the database also. So these are all the strategic priorities I'm working on. But in order to say that would they steal a technology or something, that has to be seen, because even if I showing you the code, I don't think a lot of us would understand it. It would take a long time to figure it out and re-engineer, because that is if this that is so common, everybody would have either re-engineered it or run it. Even if you see that DeepSeek puts their algorithms out, how many people are going to rework it or find something in there? So that is the first one. And the second one is that how to make it easy for the customers to businesses, and that is small and medium businesses, to make it work in via encryption. So these two things are the priorities, and I'm seeing that how that will keep our technology integrated.
Yeah, got it, Raj. And very quickly, could you also run us through who are the competitors and what is the market size looks like for you?
So competitors comes in various domains, different domains. We have different competitors because our is domain agnostic. So the only difference is that they are having a SaaS and we are selling the engine. So that is the major difference between the competitors. We do have like inference.ai or a BitScale, as I mentioned. There are other competitors in the market research and other areas too. One day which they changed they just Arvia.in, they changed the name for the fintech KYC. So they are supplying the KYC, they are the direct competitors and so on. And all in all, that the major difference is that whether the competitors can do is that they are established, they have a nice, the nice things, the marketing department, and now we are trying to break into that. So that is the one thing. Are we connected? It says trying to reconnect. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the point, that is the real marketing challenge for us to go and talk to that. That is in American sense, if I put it there, getting a foot in the door. So that is because the established brands carries credibility. We are a very a small startup that can try to break in.
We'll just close it. So the last question is around what is the fund that you're looking to raise? And could you also explain where are you going to invest at?
So the fund is mainly for market and sales outreach. So that is what because the entire development and all is free of frozen. We have a stable product that can sell. So in funding itself is that we are going to invest in the data that we are going to buy the database and do all these things. And now in order to reach out to there. So that is the data outreach. We have a plan to use our own AI to create those companies, put up those companies. The first and foremost is thing that I'm not going to send those, traditional thing of having several domains, spending 30,000, 40,000 emails and spamming these things and so on and so forth. That is not being the case with me, and I'm literally frustrated with that. I also posted saying that some of the people are sending me the food and other items to me because my website has natural and a product, and some people even send a LinkedIn request which they stating that okay, here is the natural product. I want your opinion. And I was first I didn't understand, why I thought this will be spamming or somebody put my website in some database somewhere, but I was even getting LinkedIn connections, and I was like, oh my god, why I'm getting a LinkedIn connection? And then I saw that okay, my product has a natural and a product is a natural AI, natural text AI is that. So they search for this keyword and send it and spam it and waste the entire.
I think Raja, you should start your conversation with this story only. Actually, point out to the right problem that you're solving.
Yeah, I should, but I was thinking that why I'm getting this. I was also getting somebody from China sending me, food machines, food processor machines. Somebody from, Czech or Prague or sending other things. I was so frustrated with why this is keep coming to my inbox. Why somebody from say Czech, other Eastern European countries are sending me connection requests. I was so frustrated. And then realized that, okay, my thing is that the fundamentally it is broken. The whole lead generation is broken and they are keep spamming everybody. So I'm not going to do that. That's the first thing, even if I, get the investment at all. So investment will be going to be that part. We will be going to have some of the sales process, VP sales, and some of the sales process will be initiated. So mostly into that. Next things will be like once we have the next steps we can talk to is the having this SaaS platform, having this encryption and decryption kind of technology where they don't have to fear that their data will be opened up and all. So these are all the strategic priorities and the investment will be used for that. So that is the basis of the whole idea. I was hesitant to even to take investors calls before because I don't have a plan to go into that marketing. Marketing will be something like, say, okay, I will engage in an agency, or I will bring some B2B sales people and they will send all these mails, they will run some ads. There is a spray and pray. I'm literally, hard, happy with that, frustrated with the things that everybody's time is important. If you keep spray and pray, maybe you learn it in somewhere, but that is the worst thing to do to everything out there. So that is the idea. We are looking for investment where, and also looking if an investor comes in that is aligned with our AI, understanding, aligned with the things that we can, talk to them. We can have a conversation with them. We can even solve some of the other problems. One of the other problems I wanted to solve is some kind of this product and market outreach, both in India and US, that if you like to buy something, you go to Amazon and search. I want to solve it in a way that the buyers and sellers, everybody will be matched by AI in a grand scale so that we can even, the AI even can create a pipeline. So, or even restaurant where I want to see that, okay, if you run a restaurant or if you run and then again, I want to also add the complaints part. If you want to follow that either in India and US, a small business owner have to file anywhere between 100 or 250 complaints every single year, from GST to municipal corporation to everywhere. That is also hindering our growth. Here they are also frustrated in US. So those things I will be, expanding it on it. I don't want to go in all the way before we get a foothold in the market, but this will be the kind of a use case I want to. I'm seeing that can, engage, put our use case. One of the reasons China is growing that they are doing it manually. They have, groups and groups of people. They will match make the companies, match make the investment, and so on. So those are all the strategic priorities for me. Once we get an investment, once we get an investor comes up, and we can have a discussion and so on. Yeah. So that's the answer to the.
Thanks so much, Raja, for joining us, and thanks so much for kind of explaining the innovative things that you have been doing. I know you for the past 6-7 months. I know you that you are a super person.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devang, for joining us, taking out time for asking those insightful questions. We'll come back with the next episode of a founder with an investor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks.
for asking the questions. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.